Use your mic.
Mr. President of Senate, may I move a motion for the Senate to resolve into a committee of the whole to conduct the confirmation hearings. I hereby move.
The minority leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I second the motion moved by Leader of the Senate that the Senate resolve to Committee of the Whole to continue proceedings. Thank you.
Distinguished colleagues, a motion has been moved and seconded that this Senate do resolve into Committee of the Whole to consider the nominees sent in by Mr. President one at a time. Those in support of this say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished colleagues,
This is an endorsement letter for Jigawa State.
Okay.
It's from my zone.
Okay.
So,
Distinguished colleagues, The commencement of the screening of the nominees is not in any particular order. It's actually on the basis of readiness. Because of the short period of notice, many of them needed to conclude with the code of conduct and also get their CVs sent in to distinguished senators. So we'll start with those who are ready now, so we can move fast, but we shall eventually finish all. The first nominee before us is from Edo State, and his name is Abubakar Momo. Leader of the Senate. Okay. Abubakar Momo, you give us a brief of yourself, but in a summarized version, because we want to take from the time you were born till today. We will not be able to take another person. So just summarize and give us. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Your Excellency, the President of Senate, Your Excellency, the Deputy President, Your Excellency, the distinguished senators of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. My name is Abubakar Momo. I am from Edo State, from Esako, in the South-South geopolitical region. My CV, I guess, is already with these distinguished members, and I believe it speaks for itself. I was a member of the National Assembly in the 5th Assembly, that is the House of Representatives, and the 7th Assembly. But before then, I was in the State Assembly at the commencement of this political dispensation in 1999. But prior to that, I was also an elected council chairman in the days of Babangida and Abacha's regime. And I was also elected into the council as council at various times. And in all of these positions I had, I was able to do the best for my people. And I think that is the main reason why, of course, from time to time, they've always given me the privilege of representing them. And today, I'm here before you, very much honored, as one of the ministerial nominees. First, I'm a graduate of the University of Benin, where I read engineering, and also master's degree in University of Lagos. I also have a master in public administration from Abu Ali University. And I have no doubt in mind that if you claim me as a minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, I will bring in my wealth of experience to bear on the governance of this nation. And I will also work hand in hand with my colleagues in the executive to make sure that the policy of government and the policy of our president are executed in the way and manner that he wants them. With this, my leader and my president, I want to rest my case, except there are a few things that need to be asked. But before then, I think I worked in various places. I started my life as a teacher, and before I went to the university and the rest of them. So I think if I'm given the opportunity, I've no doubt in mind that we do our best to bring our wealth of experience to bear in the governance of this nation. And I think quite a number of persons I've seen in this very hall will bear witness to the character of person I am. Because when I look around, I can see not less than 20, 30 people that we have worked together before, either in the 5th or in the 7th House of Representatives. So once again, Mr. President, Your Excellency, I thank you for this very opportunity you have given to me to address the Senate. Thank you very much.
So you were in the 5th and 7th assemblies in the House of Representatives. And then suddenly you saw some of your colleagues here who jumped into the Senate. Distinguished colleagues, let me just make one point. Your appearance in the Senate is not is for screening purpose. We shall have a day to evaluate and assess you based on your resume, security details, the nature of petitions against you, and of course, your general conduct over the years before we go into the issue of confirmation of the nomination. So appearing before us and going is not a sign that the Senate has confirmed you. I think it's important you pass this to your colleagues that we have a job to do. We have our own procedures. And then for my distinguished brothers and sisters, we have a tradition in the Senate where any former member of the House of Representatives or any former member of this, any, not speaker, please, any former senator or any non-serving senator and any former member of the House of Representatives by our rule is deemed to be qualified to be a minister by our rule, unless there are other issues of character or other issues of petitions or something. So we may not necessarily go into too much questioning, but I know that if they don't ask you a question about what you are bringing to the table, you may not be very happy when you leave here, because you seem to be brimming with a lot of ideas of what you will bring to the table based on the peculiar circumstances of today. So is there anybody that has any question for him? Not necessarily a question, that wants to make a comment? Huh? No. Oh, okay, Senator Garba. Senator Garba. Dosa. Okay, from my side, is there anything you think outside the normal duties of a minister that you think by way of an initiative that you think you bring to bear in the next administration, if confirmed by the Senate?
Thank you, the President of Senate. Like I've said, I've worked in different places, and coming to the national level in the federal executive, you know, I'm also representing a political party. And I have no doubt in mind that the party has its own programs and policies, and has its own policies and programs. And those are the policies and programs such that if I'm clear today, that I will work upon to make sure that the administration of this current regime move fast. And in terms of, in terms of what I bring on board, it all depends upon the ministry in which I'm going to serve. Whichever ministry I think I find myself today, I think I'll do my best. If you check my CV, apart from my educational background, I'm a professional engineer. I'm a registered member of the Nigerian Society of Engineers and a Korean register. So I think, Mr. President, sir, I'm sufficiently equipped to face any challenge as far as any of the ministry is concerned when elected. As long as the party has its own policy and its programs, I will face those policies and programs and execute them to the best of my ability.
I must thank you because you just mentioned an additional information that you are a current member, registered member of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, and also outside the fact that you are very ably qualified in terms of your pedigree as a former member of the House of Representatives. Can you take a bow? Done.
Go ahead, you are the chairman, business and rules.
I'm not presiding that. Point or Momo, you are the first. Can I finish with Momo? Momo, you are the first person that we are screening today. You know, we want to appeal to you that when you go there, do not be a different person. You've been here, and you know everything about this place. And you know that we mean well for Nigerians. Don't go there and close your door, and then you don't relate with the legislature. You only come here when it is time for budget. I don't know whether you understand the point. You there has to be, you have to work collaboratively with us. So you can bow and go.
Mr. Senate President, my order is Senate Rules Order 8, subsection 3, and this was the time frame within which this Senate can sit. And therefore, may I invoke Order 8.3 to move that the Senate do extend the sitting period today till the business of the day is over. I here move.
I wish to second the motion moved by Leader of the Senate that the Senate do extend the time based on what we have at hand so that we can continue beyond 2 p.m. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, even though the Senate ought to have gone on its parliamentary recess on Thursday last week, you graciously accepted, out of patriotism and nationalism, to extend the period of sittings to cover this screening exercise, which I commend you. The Nigerian public commends you for your show of patriotism. Now we are faced with the issue of time. Those who are in support of the motion moved that this Senate do extend the time beyond 2 o'clock, say aye. Those who are against say nay. The ayes have it. Senate Leader, next person. So let me welcome the esteemed nominee, His Excellency, former Governor of Rivers State, Nyesom Wike, to the hallowed chambers of the Senate for a screening. We just want you to give us a brief resume of yourself and anything you think the Nigerian public does not know yet, which you want to reveal. So the floor is yours.
Mr. Senate President, Deputy Senate President, and principal officers of these hallowed chambers, distinguished senators, Mr. Senate President, with the kind permission, can I especially recognize my senators, my three senators, Senator Barinada Mpigi, Senator Dr. Ipalibo Harry Banigo, Senator Oluwel Onyesu. Thank you for that privilege. Mr. Senate President, my name is Nyesom Wike. I'm from Obiabo local government of Rivers State. I've had my education in Rivers State from primary school to secondary school. I went to University of Port Harcourt. I had my first degree in political science and administrative studies. Thereafter, I went and served my National Youth Service in then Gongola State, now Adamawa and Taraba State. I came back, proceeded straight to Rivers State University, where I had my LLB law, and then proceeded to Nigerian Law School when it was in Lagos, and then was called to the bar. After my call to the bar, I had a brief stint in practice with E.C. Okala and co-senior advocate of Nigeria. Thereafter, I came to follow politics and then contested for the chairmanship position of Obiabo local government in 1999. I won as chairman and then as a second-time chairman. Of course, Nigerians know the importance of Obiabo local government as far as this country is concerned. Thereafter, I became the national president of Association of Local Governments in Nigeria, and I represented Africa in Commonwealth of Local Government. After that, I became the chief of staff to the government of Rivers State in 2007. Thereafter, I became a minister of state education and then became the supervisory minister of education. In 2014, I resigned and went to run for the governorship of Rivers State. I became the governor of Rivers State in 2015. Again, I recontested in 2019 and won. To the glory of God, I served out my tenure May 29, 2023. As governor, it's on record in this country. Everybody will attest the fact that I changed the landscape of Port Harcourt. It's on record. In 4 years, I constructed 12 flyovers in 4 years. Not by any contractor, but Jealous Beggar Nigeria Limited. One of you, Mr. President, will attest to the fact that you have even come to Rivers State to commission projects. Eminent Nigerians in both, it does not matter which affiliation, whether you're a politician, whether you're not a politician, whether you belong to Party A or you belong to Party B, all have come to Rivers State to commission projects. And I can tell you, what is important, there's no thing like magic. What is important is what passion do you have? What commitment do you love your people? And I can say, as a governor, then, in my 4 years, in the second tenure, I've never left my state and slept outside my state. I've made sure that I'm in my state to take the challenges, to solve the problems of my people. And that's why when I was living like a hero. They escorted me home, where women brought out their wrappers and laid on the ground and said, "March on the wrapper, welcome our son. You have done very, very well." Till 27th of May while I was leaving 27th of May, Mr. Senate President, I was commissioning, I was flagging off a project. This thing can be achieved if you are committed, if you have passion for the job. There are so many people who want to be minister, who want to be governor, for the sake that I was a governor, for the sake that I was a minister. But there are those who say, look, what do I want to offer? Am I committed to this job? And I thank Mr. President for nominating me. I believe, knowing how hungry Mr. President is to solving the problems of Nigeria, we have no choice but to give him that required support. And I can assure you, if I'm confirmed, in whatever capacity, Mr. President will not regret nominating me. Thank you, and God bless you.
Distinguished colleagues, before you is a man that needs no introduction. His Excellency, Governor Emeritus Nyesom Wike. Even as he was speaking, you could see the passion. You could see the love that he has for this country. Your Excellency, I was one of those who commissioned projects during your tenure when you were governor. So we welcome you, but this is the Nigerian Senate. And one of the things that the public worries about is that sometimes we play more politics with our voices. But when we get into office, we close the door against Nigerians. Will you be open? Will you have an open door policy so that all Nigerians can access you, even the poor, those with problems? Will you also be in a position to allow proper oversight of whichever ministry is given to you by legislators? Because those are the things that concern us. Being accessible to the people that you are meant to serve, and also allowing proper oversight for accountability. Deputy Senate President, do you have a question for this nominee? Otherwise, we tell him to take a bow and go.
Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, my name is Barrow Jibrin. I represent Kano North in this Hallowed Chambers. Mr. President, when I visited Rivers State some time back, when the president of this country went there to commission some roads and other projects, I saw what the nominee did in Rivers, the legacy projects he executed. In fact, I was thinking that I missed my way. I thought I was not even in Rivers State. I thought I was out of the country because of several overhead bridges I saw and the wonderful projects he executed in the areas of education, health care delivery system, and judiciary, and several other areas. So I'm beginning to see that if you have this kind of person as governor in several states in this country will change. So my question is this: the wonderful work you did in Rivers, are you going to replicate that in any ministry that you find yourself when after you've been cleared to be a minister in this country? Are you going to replicate that? Are you going to do the same thing you did with the passion, the zeal you execute, that you put forward in executing those projects? Are you going to replicate that kind of scenario? That's my question.
Mike, it will be unfair if the people of Rivers State are here and they see him and they don't lend a voice. So let me first invite distinguished Senator Mbigi. Here is the nominee of Mr. President, but from Rivers State. The Rivers State caucus, do you have any objection?
Thank you, Mr. President. I remain Mpigi Barinada. Mr. President, I stand here on behalf of the 3 senators from Rivers State. That the man standing before you is our best from Rivers State. We are here, let me not just over-exaggerate, but I want to say he's our role model. I want to say all what he has said and what he has enumerated in his CV, and some he has not put it in. The 3 senators from Rivers State and over 5 million Rivers people back at home, we are saying we are in total conformity with our leader. And I want all my distinct colleagues to just ask our leader to take a bow, if possible, and go. Thank you, Mr. President.
Distinguished Senator Mbigi, when you were speaking, I had goose pimples because you mentioned that over 5 million people in Rivers State are with this nominee, and you confirmed that his resume, the content are insufficient to enumerate the achievements of the nominee. I don't think there's anybody here who is opposed to this nominee. Your Excellency, can you take a bow? Professor Joseph Telelum Utsev. Sergeant at Arms. Senator Abaribe. Senator Abaribe. Senator Abaribe. If there is a delay, if the person is from Abia, please climb the stage so we can finish. Prof. Joseph Utsev, can you just give the Senate a brief resume of yourself, and then thereafter, senators have a right to ask you questions.
The President of the Senate, His Excellency Senator Goswill Akpabio, the Deputy Senate President, Senator Ibrahim Jibril Barau, all other principal officers present, senators from my dear Benue State, Senator Dr. Titus Tatengizam, Senator Emmanuel Udende, and Senator Abba Maro. Other distinguished senators here present. Mr. President, sir, I wish to begin by thanking the Almighty God for this opportunity to be here in this great chamber to appear before you as a ministerial nominee. I also thank the Almighty God for the privilege and the opportunity given to me to appear before you people. I also thank the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, who finds me worthy and nominated me to appear before you and to serve in his cabinet. Distinguished senators, I am very, very honored to appear before you for the screening as a ministerial nominee. My name is Engineer Professor Joseph Telumun Utsev. I was born into the family of Utsevaka from Buruko local government area of Benue State in 1982. In 1980, I went to St. John's Primary School, Boko. I also furthered my education at Sekwa Comprehensive Secondary School at Dikpo. I got where I came out with senior certificates in a certificate. I furthered my education at University of Agriculture, Makurdi, in the Department of Civil Engineering, which I graduated with a second class upper as the best graduate student. I did my NYC in Kaduna with Kaduna State Development and Property Company in 2006. After completion, I was retained as a graduate assistant in the Department of Civil Engineering in the same university, University of Agriculture, Makurdi, Benue State. I furthered my education at University of Nigeria, Nsukka in 2007, where I came out with Masters of Engineering in Water Resources and Environmental Engineering, graduated in 2007. I furthered my education in the same university in 2009 and graduated in 2011 with a PhD in Water Resources and Environmental Engineering. In 2013, I was appointed Deputy Director, Center for Entrepreneurship in the same university, and I was confirmed Full Director 2014 as Director, Center for Entrepreneurship in the same university from 2014 to 2017. In 2017, I was appointed Honorable Commissioner for Water Resources and Environment in Benue State from 2017 to 2018. I returned back to the university where I've been lecturing and supervising undergraduate and postgraduate projects. In the year 2020, I was appointed by the former president of Nigeria, President Muhammadu Buhari, as Executive Director Engineering at Lower Benue River Basin, Makurdi. I was there 2020. In the year 2021, I was also appointed the Pioneer Rector of Federal Polytechnic, Wanuni, Benue State, where I've been till now. In the Polytechnic, it was a new Polytechnic which we work to bring up structures. And as I am speaking now, we have started session and lectures have earnestly commenced. That is where I am at the moment. I greet this distinguished tenure for listening. Thank you all.
Distinguished colleagues, I must emphasize that the last nominee we screened, the reason why we did not need to ask too many questions is because we already have his record in the Senate. He had appeared before the Senate and was screened and was appointed a minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So his record is with us, outside being a governor. So we only asked him to let us know what he had done as governor. So we have that record. But this is a fresh nominee, and it will be important for Nigerians to know more about him. So I don't know, so I'll be roving my hand. I'll go to the left and then to the right. So we start with distinguished Senator Darlington. You want to start first? Well, let Darlington start as the leader. I will. Benue will have a chance.
Thank you, Mr. President of the Senate and their colleagues. My name is Darlington Nwokocha. I represent the entire Nigeria, but Apia Central in particular. Mr. Senate President, acting as chair, I want to ask one question to Engineer Professor Joseph Utsev. Professor, I know that we have too many incidences of ocean surge and flood, a whole lot in Nigeria. And from your resume, I can see that you have too many things that have to do with water. Please, I want to find out, have you ever in any way carried out a research that must have provided you with a pilot project on or simulation on how to harvest water for irrigation and some other things instead of wasting those things, the water, or channel it into somewhere that will not be used? Do you know about water harvesting for irrigation and things like that?
Distinguished Senator Abiru.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, sitting in as the chairman of the Senate, my distinguished colleagues. My name is Senator Mukahil Adetokunbo Abiru, and I represent the good people of Lagos East. Professor, first and foremost, I'd like to congratulate you on your nomination, and I also join my colleagues too in congratulating you as well. Now, my own question will be very simple, and it will have to do with your biodata. I just want clarifications around your biodata. Now, on the very first page, page 1, you said you were born on the 2nd of December, 1980. Now, looking further down, you attended St. John's Primary School, Boko. You just wrote 1989. I'm wondering whether you finished primary school in 1989, which will suggest that you either started primary school at the age of 3 or 2 for you to finish in 1989. That's one. 2, you also claim that you went to SEPA Secondary School. You put 1995. That will also suggest, so I don't know with the band whether it was 1989 to 1995. But what is also what will appear a bit distorted for me, which I also need clarification for, is that given your academic excellence, you know, you graduated in 2004, meaning that, you know, you probably will have spent almost 9 years for your first degree. I just need you to clarify those data. I hope you understand, starting from primary school to why it took you that long to also get your first degree despite the academic brilliance that you have exhibited. Thank you, Mr. President and my distinguished colleagues. Thank you.
Mr. President of Senate and distinguished senators, the first question is on water harvesting and reuse, whether I have conducted any research on that. Yes, I've conducted several researches on water harvesting and reuse. One, we look at harvesting water from different sources. We have different sources of water harvesting. One, we harvest water from rainfall. We harvest water from water that comes, the wastewater that comes out of our homes or different sources, and we treat it for reuse. Why are we doing this? Water is life, and water, we don't encourage wastage of water. So what we now do is that the water that, the runoff that comes that will cause flooding or that will cause nuisance to the environment, to the society, we put it into use by 1, treating it, 2, by reusing it. The water that we harvest from rainfall, it is, give it further treatment. It can either be used in that state for different purposes. For example, if you want to use it for irrigation, you can use it direct without treatment. But if you want to use it for, maybe for in case, in drinking or cooking, you treat it further to avert that other bacteria or other viruses that will be find themselves in the water. For example, now, the wastewater that comes out of our toilets or other waste sources, we treat it, we collect it, we treat it, and we now channel it into irrigation or other purposes like washing of roads. If we go to other Western countries, roads are being washed. We use such water for washing of cars and other things that are not to be, maybe for example now, you cannot use such water for drinking. If you want to use it for drinking, that means you have to subject it to further treatment. We have different levels of treatment. We have the primary, the secondary, and the tertiary level of treatment. So for economic purpose, if you want to use reuse water that comes out of your waste sources. You just suggest it to primary treatment. Primary treatment is where you maybe through filtration and a little touch of bacterial removers. Then you use it for irrigation because some of the bacteria that are there that are helpful for our crops. So we suggest it to only primary treatment so that we can reuse it. But for example, now if we want to use this water for drinking or other purposes, you have to suggest it for further treatment. So that is what we have been doing over time. So there are several researches that we have conducted. I think my CVs is there. If you can look at it, you can see some of the researches that we have conducted. Then the second question that talks about my biodata. Yes, I went to primary school in the year 1984. The year 1989 was when I got my first living certificate. And the last listing is the years. Pardon? I started in 1984, 1984, 1985, 1986, 1984, 1985, 1986. Pardon? 1984, 1985, 1986, 1987, 1988, and 1989. That was when I passed out with first school living certificate. Primary school. I'm talking about primary school. Then I further my secondary school in 1990. Yes, secondary school in 1990. 1990, 1991, 92, 93, 94, 95. That is when I got my SSCE. That's when I got my SSCE. Then I graduated in 2004. Yes, what happens that I was actually supposed to pass out in 2003, but there was a prolonged strike. If you remember, there was a prolonged strike by ASU. Then I did a 5-year program in engineering, which I was supposed to stay there for 5 years. But because of the prolonged strike, I spent 6 years for the program. That is why I graduated in 2004.
Prof, the question was, you were born in 1980, and you had your first school living certificate in 1989. That means that at the period you should have been in nursery school, at the age of 4 years, you were already in primary one. You were already in primary one. Which state was this? Well, so the nominee was born in 1980, and the nominee graduated with first school living certificate in 1989. So the nominee is exceptionally brilliant. The nominee was 3 years old when he started his primary education, and he proceeded to do 6 years. He proceeded to do, the nominee started his primary education at the age of 3 and was able to finish 6 years later in 1989. And it's possible that the nominee was a classmate of Senator Abamoro. So let's hear from Senator Abamoro whether he also started his own primary school at the age of 3.
Sorry? And I want to believe that standards that are applied to nominees that appear before this hallowed chamber will also apply to Professor Utsev. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, looking at the resume that we have of Professor Utsev, I think ordinarily that the discrepancies that you find in the times enumerated here may necessarily have come from typographical errors, which Professor Utsev himself, which he can explain. So I want to say at this point, therefore, that records don't lie. Records don't lie. And if you look at what we have here about qualifications and the explanations he has given, I think we must be prepared to give him the benefit of doubt. And so, my distinguished colleagues, I want to say that at this point, that Professor Utsev has sufficiently explained himself and the records are there to show. But I have a point that I want to make here, Mr. President. In your answer to the point of order raised by our colleagues earlier, without prejudice to my support for Professor Utsev, I want to say that I come from a part of Benue State that is a minority. I want to say, therefore, that while I'm appealing to my colleagues to approve the nomination, to confirm the nomination of Professor Utsev, that looking at the configuration of our system and in ruling on the point of order, constitutional point of order that was raised, you indicated that Mr. President is going to bring more names. I want to say, therefore, and place it on record, that in bringing more names, especially from Benue State, that a name that will come should come from the Benue South Senatorial District to complement our effort at creating unity in Nigeria. Thank you very much, Mr. President, for allowing me to make this comment.
Distinguished colleagues, we have a lot of nominees to take today. So we will like Prof, because I mean, as a professor, to go and take a look at his certificates. And you were not his classmate now. So you were not his classmate. Is a prof should look in case there are typographical errors.
Mr. President, point of order. Mr. President, point of order. Mr. President, point of order. Mr. President, point of order.
Senator. I think so. Senator Zam. Senator Zam, point of order.
Mr. President, order 42. Order. Mr. President, I am speaking on order 42. My name is distinguished Senator Dr. Titus Tatengizam. I represent the good people of Benue Northwest Senatorial District. And I'm coming on order 42, personal explanation. Mr. President, there is no discrepancy. The order is by the indulgence of the Senate and the leave of the President of the Senate, a senator may make a personal explanation, although there may be no question before the Senate. Mr. President, I stop at that. I am also from Benue. The professor standing there is from my own senatorial district. Mr. President, there is no controversy or any discrepancies about the academic qualifications of the nominee before us, sir. The dates fall in line.
Distinguished colleagues, nobody is fighting with anybody. If you have your PhD, it is your PhD. Nobody's going to take it from you. We have two stages here. The first stage is screening before we go into confirmation. At the stage of screening, you have a right to ask any question. So you ask your questions, the gray areas, let us note them down so that the nominee can answer those questions and go. When we go down to the other stage of screening, of confirmation, we can now take a holistic look at all the things that were put forward before us. Even if Senator Zam, there is no way you can lobby the Deputy Senate President on this. So let us. The civil senator. On this particular issue, on this particular question, on the question of when he entered school and when he finished school, I will not entertain any further question on that. I would rather want you to talk, asking questions on other issues, because Senator Abubakar Momo has just drawn my attention to something that is very interesting, which it is the nominee probably will clear in the course of discussions. Is there any senator from Benue State that would like to say something? Senator Dende.
Mr. President, my dear colleagues, my name is Emmanuel Memga Udendi. I represent Benue Northeast Senatorial District. From the Benue caucus, we have no issues with the nominee. He has done so well in all his assignment. And so, watch my colleagues to pass me irrespective of minor mistakes. That is our submission.
It's not a mistake. No mistake. No mistake. It's not a mistake. He can start for you. Off your mic.
Senator Yari.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. President. I remain Abdulaziz Abubakar Danladi. I represent people of Zamfara West. Mr. President, I'm from Zamfara State. My question to the professor, from what I read in your CB, it seems like if you were cleared and given responsibility of water resources, what do you intend to do? Or what are you going to do different in the issue of river basin? More especially the Benue Basin, River Basin, and other basins in the country. Today, where I came from, Sokoto Rima River Basin Development Authority is under a very serious shamble where most of the dams, either they are sealed up or they are about to be sealed up. So what do we intend to do for getting more water reserve, and what do we intend to do in expansion of the irrigation size in the country? You know the situation of river basins and the Benue Basin. What do you intend to do to deploy in your reserve knowledge of river basin or water resources to come or to show more impact apart from fishing? The irrigation in Benue State is not as much of that rather than the fishery. So what do you intend to do about that? Thank you, Mr. President, for giving this opportunity.
Please, just give him a plain sheet. So let him jot down some of the questions so he can answer at once. Distinguished Senator Farahunsi.
Thank you, Mr. President. My distinguished colleagues, my question goes to Chad Basin Authority. I think you are aware that Lake Chad had 3 big ponds in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. Today, we have only one, and that one belongs to Chad Republic. So which means all Nigerians, they move towards the water and they have gone. What are you going to do to restore our own 2 pumps so that irrigation will come back to that 186 kilometers down to Maiduguri? Thank you.
Sorry, Senator, the last question, I didn't get it well.
Senator Farahunsi, he said you should use your campaign voice so that he will hear you, but he did not hear the last question.
Mr. President, I asked him about Chad Basin Authority, particularly the Chad ponds. We had about 3 big ones that are really serving irrigation and farming along that 186 kilometers from Maiduguri to Chad Basin. 2 belonging to Nigeria had already dried. Why Nigerians who are fishermen follow the only one in Chad Republic? What are you going to do to restore the 2 Nigerian ponds so that Nigeria will benefit and Agric will thrive in that region and you will see agricultural development in Nigeria?
Well, distinguished Senator Farahunsi, you are asking him questions that you know about. You said that you know about 3 dams. Is it 3 ponds? He may not know about the 3 ponds unless he did research on the 3 ponds. And then he may not even know the ministry that is going to. It may not even be a ministry that is related to water or ponds. But if he's as knowledgeable as you are, I'm sure he will proceed an answer to that. But outside that, I would think that you can spare him if he doesn't know about the ponds. Distinguished Senator, yes, I always like to, please, yes, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President. I wish to congratulate you for your nomination and would want to ask, since you are an expert in water. We've had recurring problems of flood, particularly when Cameroon discharges its water. You are from Buruku, I am from Doma. So your people and my people suffer the same thing along the River Benue. If you are given the opportunity to head the Water Resources Ministry, what will you do to curb this problem? Because our people have died in millions, have lost properties in billions, and there is no end to it. So what will you do to make sure that this thing that Cameroon does every year or from time to time, that they inform us about, that our people still die of? What will you do to curb such problems? Thank you, Mr. President.
Distinguished Senator Onawu, I must say that I like your question because both of you are neighbors. And so you probably share the same natural water dam. So I'm happy to hear that question, and I'm sure he knows about it. So this is Senator Sani Musa. Before you say I have marginalized Northeast, North Central, ask your question. Senator Abu, wait. Northeast will ask. So, but let North Central ask first.
Thank you, Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues. My name is Mohammed Sani Musa, representing Niger East. What affects Benue also affects Niger. So, Mr. Nominee, congratulations. My two simple questions are that Nigeria, we have been facing the problem of flood everywhere, and every time we are just giving some short-term measures to take care of them. And we neglected water harvesting completely. If you go to countries like China, you will see a small stream that is flowing. They make it to walk. Instead of flowing to go down to join the bigger rivers to just washed away, they do certain things that will make the water to be recycled. In so doing, they even put small turbines, which helps in irrigation. So all year round, there's agriculture. As an expert in that field, if for any reason you are taken to that ministry or you are in the executive, in the cabinet, what kind of solution that you would prefer for Nigeria, looking at our kind of environmental settings, just with a follow-up to what Senator Onawo have said? If each community is having such problems, I think as an expert, we should be able to think deeply on how we can bring solution. The second question is, our schools today, if you look at the curriculum of our schools, we do not talk about anything water. Don't you think it's right for us to bring it back, and so that right from the foundation of our education, we'll be able to manage this? Because the multiplier effect of this is that at the end of the day, if we manage it very well, we will boost our agriculture, we will boost even the natural resources that we will have, like the horticulture. The horticulture, we'll be able to manage it because all year round Nigeria, we have inland waters. We'll be also able to utilize it for the transportation. So it will be good if we can hear something from an expert, and that will help this country. Thank you and best wishes.
Your mic. Senator Abu. Senator Abu.
Thank you, Mr. President. Sitting at chair, My name is Senator Ishaku Abo. I represent the good people of Adamawa North. First of all, our nominee from Benue State. You see, some people don't understand certain things. To clear air of you going into finishing primary school or entering primary school at the age of 3, let me tell you a personal story. I sat for common entrance examination when I was in primary 3, and I won because I was exceptionally brilliant. I passed. It's all the same. Winning and passing are all the same. So the question of you entering primary school at the age of 3 did not arise. But when did you finish? And at what level did you start for your common interest exam? You may be like me, exceptionally brilliant. So, we have cleared that because you are on national television. I don't want people to go home thinking that your integrity is being called to question. You are a professor in this country and have done exceptionally well for the university to make you a professor. Now my question is this. Any country that continues to rely on rainfall, rainwater, to cultivate crops and to feed a booming population like Nigeria will have food crisis. When you talk of insecurity, the most dangerous insecurity is food insecurity. When there's no food, there will be insecurity. A hungry man is an angry man. If you look at Nigerians' land size, from number 1 to number 21 is all states in northern Nigeria. Apart from Oyo, in number 14, with 20,454 square kilometers land size, and Cross River at number 19, with about 20,000 square kilometers. They enter from number 1 to number 21, northern Nigeria. Now there is desert encroachment. Rain is no longer falling as it used to be because of human activities. How do you intend to create dams so that we will not continue to rely on rainwater and use the opportunity of this vast land size in the north to feed our booming population? Thank you so much.
Distinguished senators, you may agree with me that here several questions, so many questions have been put forward to him. Please, can you allow him to answer some of these questions? He has been here for quite a long time. Summarize your answers.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, distinguished senators. Basically, the 4 questions raised are all hinged on one thing. The 3 questions brought before are all hinged on. I want to summarize. What I want to say is that they're all talking about improving food production through irrigation. They're all talking about improving food production through irrigation. Now, in places, the third speaker was asking questions and giving answers at the same time. When we are talking about irrigation farming, we are talking about artificial supply of water to our crops. Now, with the construction of dams, drilling of boreholes, because there are some certain areas where dams cannot be constructed. In that case, we have what is called inland drilling. We call them inland drilling. They provide the waters for dry season. We're talking about dry season. Now, we are talking about flooding. Flooding now. Like, for example, River Benue. River Benue is heavily seated. It's heavily seated. And that is one of the reasons why we are having flooding in the country. So if I am given a ministry, we will liaise with ministries of transportation, agriculture, and other ministries to see how we can cool the menace of flooding by way of either try to see how we can dredge this river. By dredging this river, it will, one, cool the menace of flooding, and as well provide the water for the irrigation. So that will solve the problem. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nominee, for providing enough answers to the questions that have been raised. You can bow and go, and then if there's anything, we'll get back to you. You can bow and go.
Mr. Senate President, I had a question for him now.
Next nominee, please. Next nominee. Distinguished colleagues, we have before us Senator Abubakar Kyari, who is one of the nominees that are here before us. Is one of the nominees. You all know that he was our colleague in the House of Representatives. He was our colleague in the 9th Senate, 8th and 9th Senate, sorry. And he is someone who is known as a senator of the highest pedigree and integrity. He is currently Deputy National Chairman of the APC, the acting chairman of the APC. And you know by tradition, anyone that has this kind of sound pedigree does not wait to be asked several questions before he's cleared by this august Senate. I will dare call on him if he has anything that he wants to tell us. He can tell us. And if he doesn't have anything, order, please. And if he doesn't have anything, he will take a bow and go. Distinguished nominee, our order, please. Order, please. Nominee, the acting chairman of the APC, the largest party in Africa. If you have anything that you want to tell us that we don't know, you are free to do so. And if you don't, please, you can take a bow and go. Ita ce kira ka ba.
If my woman leader comes next, let me speak when after the individual.
Okay.
You know.
Next nominee. Order, please. Order, please. Chief Whip, can you keep the chambers in the state of silence, please?
Distinguished colleagues, I am constrained to remind us that we are on live television. And it is our responsibility to conduct this procedure with seriousness and decorum. Please. Thank you.
Distinguished colleagues, we have before us John Ewan Eno, distinguished senator. Is one of the nominees. Is someone we all know here, a former member of the House of Representatives and a former senator. Will avail him the chance to introduce himself. And you know, we have the tradition that anyone who has been a member of the National Assembly, particularly a former senator, because we believe such person has required and prerequisite pedigree and integrity to be the Minister of the Federal Republic. In line with that tradition, we don't ask questions, but we shall allow him to introduce himself and probably tell us anything that we need to know so that Nigeria will better know him. That is an option anyway, but he can introduce himself. Any other thing is optional. Mr. Nominee.
Mr. President of the Senate, distinguished senators, my name is John Owan Eno. I come from Cross River, a distinguished senator of the 8th Senate. I served in the 5th, in the 6th, and in the 7th House of Representatives, and then served in the 8th Senate. In my tour of duty in the National Assembly for 16 years, I had the singular privilege and opportunity of sitting in the 5th Assembly as Deputy Chairman of the Committee on Appropriation, in the 6th Assembly as Chairman of the Committee on Finance, in the 7th Assembly as Chairman of the Committee on Appropriations, and the 8th Senate as Chairman of the Committee on Finance. Before coming to the National Assembly, I had served 4 years in the House of Assembly of Cross River State, and prior to that, I was a lecturer in the University of Calabar for 6-7 years, between 1991 to 1997. I graduated from the Department of Sociology in 1988 as best graduating student of that class. Within which period, both as student and as lecturer, I had a BSc, an MSc in demography, a postgraduate diploma in management, and an MBA. I've had the privilege of attending courses, the most important of which was in Harvard, where I did a course in public finance management. I joined the APC in 2017 as a 7th senator, and in 2019 was APC governorship candidate for Cross River. So I feel very honored to have this rare privilege of presenting myself before you for confirmation as an honorable minister of the Federal Republic. I thank you.
Okay. Thank you, distinguished senator and nominee. So the option is yours. If you want to add anything, and if you feel, you can. Well, what I try, if you don't have anything to say, you can take your bow and go.
Just very briefly and finally, if you look at my CV, you would discover that for about the 20 years that I was in office, I spent all that in the legislature. So this nomination for me provides me a rare opportunity to serve in the executive, and I can assure you that I'll represent the legislature to the best of my abilities, and you'll be proud of me. Thank you.
Next nominee, please. Distinguished Senator, please let me draw your attention to Order 5210. and it reads, during a sitting, all senators shall be silent or shall confer only in undertones. Please, let's be silent so that we can listen to our nominee. Please, let's be silent. Mr. Nominee, the next nominee, the one before us now, is Honorable Barrister Bello Muhammad, a nominee from Sokoto State. Mr. Nominee, you may wish to introduce yourself to the August Senate.
Your Excellency, the Senate, the President of the Senate, principal officers of the Senate, distinguished senators, good afternoon to you all. My name is Bello Muhammad. I was born in Sabon Garindole village area of Goronyo local government of Sokoto State. I had my primary, secondary, and tertiary education in Sokoto State. And after my completion of LLB at the Osman Danfodio University, Sokoto, I proceeded to Nigerian Law School, Buhari, Abuja, where I was called to the Nigerian Bar in 2001. I had both political, legislative, executive, and judicial sojourn, because I was elected into the Sokoto State House of Assembly from 2007 to 2015, where I served as minority leader, as deputy leader, and deputy speaker of the Sokoto State House of Assembly. Later, in 2015, I served as a commissioner in various ministries in Sokoto State, ranging from solid minerals, energy, and information. Your Excellency, distinguished senators, I'm a party man because I started as a secretary, or party secretary in my local government, and rose up to the zonal secretary of the Northwest Zone of the All Progressive Congress, the APC, I mean the ruling APC. And then I'm the director, I was the director, Youth Mobilization, Northwest Zone for the Ashwaju Shatima Presidential Campaign Council. I served in various committees in the House, and then I'm a member of various associations, youth clubs, organizations, to mention just a few. Your Excellency, Mr. Senate President, distinguished senators, I'm widely traveled, and I'm happily married with 4 kids. Thank you for this opportunity, and I want to express my sincere gratitude to His Excellency, Mr. President, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, for nominating me to serve as a minister if confirmed by this hallowed chamber. Thank you and God bless.
This is Senator Tambol.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues,
I am Amin Waziri Tambol, representing Sokoto South Senatorial District. From the presentation of the nominee, if you may recall, he had mentioned, or he did mention, that he served as a member of the Executive Council of Sokoto State from 2015 to 2018. And that was during my tenure, my first term as governor of Sokoto State. He has been my younger colleague at the bar, and we have worked closely with him at various times. And I believe that he fits the bill and he can do the job. I therefore recommend him highly to this Senate for confirmation. Thank you very much.
No, that is, we're talking about Nigeria. Talking about Nigeria. And I commend him for that testimony. That is Nigeria. It shows that he puts politics aside. Yeah. Senator Abdul.
Mr. President, sitting as a chair, my name is Senator Abdul Ningi, and I represent Bauchi Central of Bauchi State. Mr. Chairman, let me congratulate the nominee, my dear younger brother, for this very important nomination. Perusing through your biodata, you could see on page 2 positions held and responsibilities. Number 2, you were chairman transportation committee in Saudi Arabia for the Hajj 2015, operations in Mecca. You were in Arafat, Muzdalifah, Mina, and Mecca. And going further, you are also a member Hajj reception committee 2008 to 2010. You are also a member Hajj screening and plan schedule committee 2012, 2013, 2014, and also member Hajj delegation 2015. This has given me an idea of the kind of person you are. And having gone through these exercises, you must understand, like myself and many others, the problems of Nigerians in Saudi Arabia. First, Nigerians occupy the last point, even within the African settings in Mina. Over the last decade or so, Nigerians have found it almost impossible to belong to the Committee of Nations during Hajj exercises. The Hajj exercise over the period of time has become very, very terminal and not something any Nigerian will be proud of, particularly what happened in this year's exercise. You recount quite a lot of problems with Nigerians that has to do with transportation, has to do with accommodation, that has to do with feeding, and that has to do with even running battle with the Saudi authorities. If eventually this House clears you, and the President and Commander-in-Chief by his leave appoints you as a Foreign Affairs Minister, what in your experience will you do in order to bring succor to Nigerians that live in a very terrible situation year in, year out? And secondly, will you also recommend the complete delisting of the Hajj Commission and probably giving the state powers to be able to organize their separate Hajj exercises? That is my question for you.
Senator Jimo Ibrahim, the last one, because we need to quickly move forward.
Thank you very much, my very distinguished Senate President sitting as chair. Congratulations, Mr. Nominee. My name is Jimo Ibrahim Folonsho. I represent Ondo South Central District. I'm also a lawyer like yourself, about 32 years in the bar. Let me focus my question, Mr. Senate President, to the nominee on the state of insecurity. You are from Sokoto State, and you know that one of the major problems facing our nation today is challenges of insecurity. For example, let's take the issue of insurgency in one of the regions in Nigeria, which has gone the federal government $1.2 trillion. That is twice size of our GDP. The national GDP is $505 billion. In one insurgency, we have spent $1.2 trillion. Now, that is not East. This insurgency also distilled to other regions in Nigeria. If the Mr. President decides to make you Minister of Defense, for example, you do know very well that all efforts to solve this insurgency have been proven very stubborn to all solutions. For example, in the Northeast, the insurgency is now 20 years old and is still there. Now, how will you advise the Defense Ministry or our very loyal soldiers how to handle this insurgency problem? In Zamfara this morning, there were attacks on about 300-something people. Now, this is just repeating itself across the country. As Minister of Defense, Mr. Nominee, how will you advise the President, who has spent 2 times of Nigeria economic size in fighting one insurgency in one region out of 6 regions in Nigeria, and insurgency still percolating and distilling to the entire Nigerian nation? Thank you very much. I have asked my question.
Distinguished Senator Abba.
Mr. President, I am Aminu Abbas, Adamawa Central. Mr. President, I want to plead with distinguished senators, if there is no objection, we should allow the nominee to answer the 2 questions asked and take a bow and leave, because he served as a member also in the State Assembly and even as a Deputy Speaker of Sokoto State House Assembly. Mr. President, I am on the floor, please. I am on the floor. I say if the distinguished senator hold no objection. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Thank you, Mr. President.
SARS. Sitting as chair of the House of the committee, I noticed that my name is Shoaib Afolabi Salisu. I represent proudly the good people of Ogun Central. The nominee has masters in energy security management, and you also serve as Honorable Commissioner for Energy Development in Sokoto State. There's a near consensus that our country is going through energy crisis. What will you do as a member of Federal Executive Council to ensure that the energy requirement of this country that will allow small and medium-scale enterprises to grow, that will allow for improved quality of life, that will also ensure that Nigeria attains its full potential? What will you do? What will your background with masters in energy security, how will it help the country?
Distinguished Senator Orwell.
Thank you, Mr. President. The nominee, first I want to congratulate you upon your being nominated by the President to be part of his cabinet. And I've taken time to go through your resume. I would like you to go back to your academic qualifications. I've been looking for your school cert. I saw one. You sat for 5 subjects with 2 credits. I don't know how. I want to imagine that you still have another to bring. If not, I would want you to explain how you got into university with that. Thank you.
Yes, the nominee.
Your Excellency, Mr. President of the Senate, principal officers of the Senate, distinguished senators, I would like to answer these questions from the last one, if the Senate permit. Sir, on the issue of qualification, I have other secondary school results which I have all passed that I have not attached to my CV because we are talking of secondary school certificates. And I want to remind distinguished senator, which I know he very much know, that the qualifications of secondary school certificates as enshrined in the Constitution, you can stand for an election up to the presidential election. So I didn't bother you with much certificates, but I know I have the qualification for that. Okay, sir.
You are saying that you chose what to give to the Senate. You chose the qualification to bring before the Senate because of the constitutional provision that a secondary school certificate is what is required to stand for election. You are not coming to stand for election. You are coming to be a minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So which are the other certificates you concealed? Which are the other certificates that you did not put in your CV?
Excellency, sir, the certificate of secondary school is there and other certificates of other qualifications are there. What he is asking me is I sat, my first sitting was secondary school certificate with 2 credit passes. And what I'm trying to say is that I have sat for another examination and I have passed, but I don't want to attach another qualification because
well, I think it's not just for this nominee. It's important for all other nominees to know that we would like to know something about them in totality, including the number of children they have. Yes, including the number, yes, including the number of wives, the number of children. Nigerians have a right to know their ministers. The international community has a right to know their ministers. So please, I don't think it's you don't choose and pick. So we will give the nominee time to bring the other certificates to circulate, but not necessarily appearing again before us. So I want to thank you for what you have done. I don't think you need to go further, but every certificate that you have, make copies of a clerk. He will come and see you. He will give you copies of the other certificates so that you can attach. So you can take a bow. Distinguished Senator Governor Bataro, please. Yeah, distinguished Senator. Okay, Bamidele has stepped out. Your Excellency Muhammad Badar Abubakar, congratulations on your nomination. Would like to have a short and summarized resume of yourself for the knowledge of the Nigerian public and the global community. So the stage is yours.
Your Excellency, the Senate President, Your Excellency, the Deputy Senate President, the leaders of the Senate and distinguished senators, it's indeed a great pleasure to be before you today. We thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for this honor. Your Excellency, I'm told my CV is before you, so I wouldn't want to waste your time speaking on my resume. But my political antecedents is well known, and as well as my governance in Jigawa State. I've been the governor of Jigawa State, the immediate past governor of Jigawa State. And they said I have done creditably well. I have sent a booklet to the distinguished senators that contains my performance as a governor in the last 8 years. The silent point on my resume is my life as an entrepreneur that is not really known to most of you. I started as a young trader back when I was in secondary school, continue as a businessman to develop a conglomerate that is today having offices in both Holland, Belgium, Cairo, China, US, are running marine businesses, whole chain of logistics, automobiles, land transport, properties development, trading, factories in oil milling, rice milling, aluminum extrusion, and many other businesses. I was trained then to smell, to look at my surroundings, and I was told, when you look deeply, you'll find something that will make money for you. And that has helped greatly, and that is why we succeed in business and also in governance. And another training is the ability to judge every spending by its value. You have to judge all your spendings based on the value that you will get. Another teachings we learned as a businessman that I bring to governance is the ability to manage crisis. And most of you here, we have worked together in times of crisis, and we have solved problems that are probably difficult to be solved. Distinguished senators, I don't want to bore you, but I believe the passion that I have for this country, that was what led me to join politics in the first place. Those of you that knows me then, as the president of the Nigerian Association of Chambers of Commerce, Industries, and Mine and Agriculture, know pretty well that I joined politics, I joined governance because of the passion I have for my people. And because of that passion, that was why you call me calculator, because we calculate and make sure things are done correctly and things are done right. Thank you very much.
Mike. Off your mic. The Mr. Calculator.
This is small one, sir.
Huh?
Due respect.
Which,
I have a twin brother.
which of them?
Who is also another calculator.
Which of them?
The single senator mine.
Is all among the prophets. And is he sitting there? You know, you raise a point of order later. Is he supposed to sit there? Okay, so we will come back to that issue. Because well, Your Excellency Governor Badaru, I don't know about others, but I know that I have worked closely with you, and I don't want to, if I say publicly now, they will say, oh, the Senate President has ruled. This is just screening. When we come to confirmation, I may have one or two things to say about you. But in the meantime, so that we can get into business to look at those who are not really so qualified, if there is any, you can take a bow and go. Ambassador Yusuf Tuggar, Bauchi. Ambassador, give us a brief about yourself.
Your Excellency, the Senate President, Senator Godswill Akpabio, Your Excellency, the Deputy Senate President, Principal Officers, distinguished Senators of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. My name is Yusuf Tuggar from Bauchi State. I was born on the 12th of March, 1967. I attended primary school in Kano. From there, I proceeded to Federal Government College in Ilorin. I graduated from the University of California, University in the United States, where I majored in international relations. I have a master's also in international relations from the University of Cambridge. I'm a former member of the House of Representatives, where I was chairman of the House Committee on Public Procurement. I was also a very active member of the Foreign Relations Committee, as well as the Petroleum Upstream Committee. I contested for governorship under the CPC in 2011, after which I went back into private business, eventually being appointed as ambassador of the Federal Republic of Nigeria to Germany, where I am still serving. During my time in Germany, I was part and parcel of several initiatives that I believe attracted investment and sought to move Nigeria forward in terms of infrastructure, economic development, and culture. Amongst those, quickly, I would like to mention the Presidential Power Initiative, the Siemens Electrification Project, also the Kano Maradi Rail Project that is currently under construction, the return of the Benin bronzes, 1,320 pieces to Nigeria. And let me just simply round up by saying that I'm very proud to stand here before you as a nominee for minister, because I see very familiar faces. I consider myself part and parcel of this institution. I'm not only a former member of this institution, I'm also, I would say, a child, a son of this institution. And finding people like me being included as ministerial nominees, I think is an attestation to the progress that our democracy is making, where you have people from the bastion of democracy, which is the National Assembly, actually moving to the executive arm to serve. I think it provides for better understanding between the three arms of government. I would like to stop here. Your Excellency. I have been warned that I should not take too long. Thank you.
That we try to hear from at least a member of the Senate from your state. So let me invite Senator Nengi to say something. I think Senator Nengi has also just been elected the chairman of Northern Senators Forum. Am I right? Congratulations. Please, you are from Bauchi. Say something about the nominee.
Thank you, Mr. President. Sitting as a chair, my name is Senator Abdul Ningi, and I represent Bauchi Central, Bauchi State. Let me, from the onset, congratulate my friend, my younger brother, my colleague, Ambassador Honorable Yusuf Tuggar. Mr. President, this is a person that I know close to 35 years ago. He comes from a very prominent family in the state. We have never been in the same party with Tuggar. He has always been in another party, from CPC to APC. That has not in any way dilute our relationship. Tuggar is one person that does not define you from where you come from. He does not define you from your religion, and he neither defines you from your political party or regional affiliation. Standing there, Mr. President, is a unique Nigerian, and you could see from his records, he has gone all over the country, and of course, globally. He studied in the United States of America. He also studied in the UK, presently an ambassador in Germany. Tuggar's nomination by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu gives me an impression that the president understands what is needed for this country going forward. With Tuggar as a minister, Nigerians, Bauchi State, and in particular the National Assembly, will be proud for having one of his own as a shining star in terms of performance. I believe he has seen other ministers come and go. He has seen where ministers go and deny even being members of the National Assembly. Tuggar will be different. I believe he has the capacity, the education, the exposure to be able to handle any ministry given that opportunity. Mr. President, I introduced Tuggar to our colleagues, and it is somebody that we all must have hope that he will deliver the democratic dividends when the time comes. Distinguished colleagues, here is somebody that I can proudly say he should take a bow and go.
Your mic. Thank you, distinguished Senator Abdul Ningi, chairman of the Bauchi Caucus of the Senate and chairman of Northern Senators Forum. Ambassador, the only problem is that your resume, I didn't see date of birth on it, unless.
Your Excellency, my birth certificate is actually just outside that door. I can bring it in quickly. The date of birth, I think, is an omission, but the birth certificate, which is even more proof. 12th of March, 1967. Yes.
You didn't want to put it so that I would not know that you're a small boy. so put it inside, clerk. Get his updated CV that also includes his date of birth and has all the certificates attached. Ambassador, you are a former member of the House of Representatives. Now, outside the few additions that you are going to make to the CV, you may take a bow. Congratulations. He's sending them. Your ambassador. You get you provide your updated certificate with your academic qualifications attached. You understand? Huh? And also include your date of birth. I know you were rushing from your posting to come, so you can take a bow. But provide those things so that all the civil senators will have copies. I said congratulations on your nomination, not on your confirmation. We have not confirmed you yet. Yes, we have before us Distinguished Senator Abubakar Danladi, another nominee of Mr. President. Can you just summarize your resume before your colleagues?
Senate President, the Deputy Senate President, distinguished senators, good afternoon all. My name is Abubakar Danladi. I'm from Taraba State and also a nominee from Taraba State. Your Excellency, I want to use this opportunity to thank Mr. President for having the confidence in nominating me as a nominee minister in Taraba State. And also, as a colleague in the 8th Senate, I was here together with you, doing everything possible to ensure all the assignment we have been given in this chamber, we have done it successfully. Your Excellency, if given the opportunity and clear me, I want to assure the Assembly, this Senate, that I'm going to provide the synergy between both the executive and the legislature because of my experience. I'm a former councillor, former chairman, former deputy governor, former acting governor, former senator. With this experience, I believe if opportunity given to me today, this humble Senate will clear me. I want to assure you, I will do everything within my capacity to bring the synergy, both the executive and the legislature.
Point of order, Senator Ning.
Mr. President, Order 55, sub 3. And it says, every senator, when he or she comes into the chamber, shall take his seat or her seat, and shall not at any time stand in any of the passage in the pathways. I think the rule explains it. We are on a very serious assignment. Yes. And the way and manner we move around does not in any way speak well of this chamber. And I hope the Senate President should guide us, all of us.
Point of order is sustained. Senator Abu, you may go back to your seat. Senator Gumel, I don't know whether people are holding a different session. Senator Bomai, we want a solemn assembly. We want the chambers to know that this is a very serious business. Senator Guta, go back to your seat. Anything? We'll take her. We'll take her. Yes. You are true? Anybody from Adamawa? Or is it Taraba? Any senator from Taraba? Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. I am Harun Amanu. I represent Taraba Central. Mr. President, you will agree with me that from the presentation by the nominee, Mr. President, the nominee is a grassroots politician, is somebody who has started from the inception of this democracy, from the councillor to the council chairman, deputy governor, acting governor, and a member of this distinguished Senate.